The latest. Thank you for love and support. I appreciate you all. Our all in all, the Savior, the Protector, the Unifier, the Messiah, the King of Kings, the Most Loved. Captain Ibrahim Traore has done it again. Captain Ibrahim Traore has given us another amazing reason for us to be proud of. When we wake up, there's one thing that comes into the minds of everybody, and that is food. So if we do not have what it takes to feed ourselves, how do we survive? And that is the reason to which every blessed day the African is controlled, because there are people who are sitting somewhere who feeds the African. That is what they are saying, and that is the reason to which these people always have the upper hand on us. Africa, we have a very fertile land, but what is it that we are doing with the land? We have always allowed ourselves to be here, and even with the little fertile land that we have, we are allowing these people to bring their chemicals into the continent to destroy the land that we have and the organic foods that we have and we are surviving on. These people are doing everything possible to destroy the organic food that we have by replacing them with the GMO. And the leaders are the ones who are allowing these people to do what they are doing in Africa. Then they turn around to tell us that the African must feed himself. In which way? And that is why Captain Ibrahim Traore decided to show us the way. Captain Ibrahim Traore has decided to give free voluntary training to the youth in agriculture, and that is the most important thing that every leader must take. It's a very good initiative because we need all the technical know-how to be able to go into agriculture for us to cultivate all the crops and everything that we need that we will survive on. Our forefathers had a very brilliant idea in farming, and these people were able to farm, store their food for even a year or years without them going bad. But today, in this our current generation that we claim we've gone to school, we had all the education that we claim we have, can't do all these things anymore. We have lost track of everything called agriculture and how to cultivate things. Captain Ibrahim Traore is showing the corrupt leaders what leadership is all about. It's not about how you sit down to be talking.
Or you have the situation in the Sahel, where now you have this alliance of Sahel states, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, that have broken away from Ecowas because of the way the Ecowas responded after there was a coup in Niger. They've walked out. That regional economic community, ECOWAS, of course, is weaker by that fact. It's a matter of concern, must be a matter of concern to the African Union. But it's nowhere to be seen. I am not aware of any particular engagement in terms of the African Union to deal with its shortcomings with regards to issues of peace and security. That kind of assessment, I don't know if it has been, maybe it has. But it's again very visible. You have a war that breaks out in Ethiopia between the central government, federal government, Addis Ababa, against one of the states, Tigray. 2020, don't run. Anyway, breaks out. I happen to chair the African Union Subcommittee on the Horn of Africa. So we then decided as that committee to talk to the African Peace and Security Council, to say to them, as this panel on the Horn of Africa, we can't move forward until this conflict among the Ethiopians is resolved. So please, PSC, Peace and Security Council, do your job as mandated by the Constitutive Act of the African Union, the African Peace and Security Architecture. Do what you have to do to solve this thing, and then as a panel on the Horn, we'll be able to do our work. The then current chair of the Peace and Security Council replied to me after he had finished his term as the chair. And he says to me, thank you very much for your report. And then the important question that you raise. Please raise that question with my successor. And the reality of the matter is that the African Union Peace and Security Council would not discharge its responsibilities with regard to working to end that conflict in Ethiopia. They walked away from it. Until very late in a particular way, when President Obasanjo was appointed as the envoy of the chair of the commission, not even a chair of the PSC, as the chair of the commission, the envoy of the commission, of the chair of the commission. But I'm saying effectively the Peace and Security Council had walked away from its responsibilities to deal with the conflict in Ethiopia. You have the conflict currently taking place in Sudan. There is a subcommittee of the African Union which was appointed to deal with the Sudanese issue. It's led by a very good African, very good person. But the Sudanese are not listening. So there is actually no engagement of the African Union with the conflict in Sudan. Or you have the situation in the Sahel, where now you have this alliance of Sahel states, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, that have broken away from ECOWAS because of the way the ECOWAS responded after there was a coup in Niger. They've walked out. That regional economic community, ECOWAS, of course, is weaker by that fact. It's a matter of concern, must be a matter of concern to the African Union. Or you get the conflict in Somalia. The latest report I received about that, I have no way of verifying it, but I believe the reporters. They say Al-Shabaab, instead of getting weakened, is actually getting stronger. Coming very close to Mogadishu. The African Union, in my view, ought to be sitting and saying, an intervention force was established and it's been there, so Uganda and all that. What's happening? This suggests to me that we've got to come back to the point of saying there has to be a political solution with regard to the conflict in Somalia, not a military one. I don't know where the AU is with regard to that. Or take the matter of this conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo. I think I've said this before in one of our meetings here. That conflict in the DRC is a domestic Congolese conflict. There's a view that is taken hold among some people that is a conflict which has impacts on the sovereignty of the Congo. And therefore there's some outside force. When you talk about peace in the DRC, about ending this intervention by some outside force, no. The conflict in the Congo is fundamentally a conflict among the Congolese people. And derives from the fact that there's a section of the population of the Congo in the eastern Congo, which the government in Kinshasa does not want to recognize as Congolese. This is a Rwanda-speaking population. During Mobutu's years, Mobutu said, these are not Congolese, drive them back to Rwanda. You even had a militia formed in the eastern Congo, one they called, for instance, Mai Mai. Those years. Not Mai Mai in Kombot, but Mai Mai. With a specific task to drive out these Congolese-speaking Rwandans, these Rwandan-speaking Congolese, to drive them out into the Congo, into Rwanda. And that's why the M23 gets formed. Because the Rwandan-speaking Congolese say the government is not protecting us, we must protect ourselves. I don't know where the particular conflict is going to end, but again what I hear from the Congolese is that in reality, today, 70% of the population of the Congo supports the M23. Because they are saying the country as a whole, for some reason, has developed a hostile attitude towards the government in Kinshasa. So what we might very well see is this rebellion among the Congolese against their own government. Again, I'm trying to answer the question, where was the AU? I don't know where it was. So there are those shortcomings. And I hope that with the election now of a new commission of the Peace and Security Council, which was done a few days ago, that indeed the reconstitution of the Commission of the African Union would create the possibility to have a relook at these matters, to have the assessment that you are talking about, to identify the shortcomings and decide what is to be done. I agree with you that in terms of the G20 and our chairing of the G20, it will be important to put on the agenda of the G20 the matter of this, the debt trap to which you referred. Because indeed it is a serious problem. Okay. It is a serious problem that needs to be addressed, including this matter about the reform of the financial architecture. That's an important issue of the World Bank, of the Bretton Woods institutions. That's an important matter. It needs to be put on the agenda of the G20, in addition to the debt trap issue, so that indeed, if a common position can be elaborated coming out of the G20 with regard to that financial architecture, it would be important. And I would add to that an important matter for us as Africans, in addition to the issue of the financial architecture, which is the issue of the loss of huge volumes of resources through illicit financial outflows. That is an important matter that needs to be addressed by the G20. Because when these resources flow out of the continent as illicit outflows, they end up somewhere. And in many instances, they end up being hosted by some of the countries who are part of the G20. So to take a G20 common position to say, what do we do to combat this very negative phenomenon of these illicit financial flows, which impact very badly on the developing countries, not only Africa, which which must include the issue of the elimination of the tax haven.
Look at when this USAID was cut, and even upon giving us the detailed secrets of these things that this USAID was doing in the guise of helping people, there are people or leaders in Africa who still sit here and were expecting that this program should continue happening. When we know all the bad things, the trumu, in the guise of this USAID, as Dr. Rekana said, the HIV program that they claimed they were helping people in South Africa, they were actually injecting people. You know, all these things came out. Yet the African leader was still sitting there expecting that this program should happen, and they are talking about what the United States of America is going to lose at the end of the day. They are not always thinking about what the African would do to move forward. It's always what they will benefit as leaders with all this fertile land. And we still sit here in Africa for people who are living in conditions that are not favorable, like our weather condition, to farm and bring to us. And there are leaders who are talking about how the United States of America farmers are going to lose big time. It's about you, the leader, using that as an opportunity to empower your African farmers. Instead of you to be thinking about how the United States farmers are going to be losing, why is it that you will not look at it in this way of empowering your youth, your farmers, that this is going to be an opportunity? If there were forces on you that were not allowing you to empower your farmers because of this program, you should have seen this as an opportunity for you to use to empower your farmers to do more for your country to move forward. And Captain Ibrahim Traore is doing everything in every aspect, in every area, to move the country forward. Ibrahim Traore is making sure that he does everything in his power to empower his people to go into agriculture so that there will be food in abundance. Those who are eating democracy, sitting, doing nothing, rather than to be arguing in parliament, will not end up going to these same people that they are calling to come back into constitutional rule to now feed them. And sometimes they will have to consider, because of we the citizens, because if they don't bring it, these democratic elected ones, the leaders, they will not suffer. It is we the ordinary citizens that will suffer. So leadership, as we say, is how you implement whatsoever that you want to implement. It's not about the particular model that you are following. These people who always sit in parliament to be arguing, talking about youth unemployment in G. Yet these people are not thinking about this initiative, like what Captain Ibrahim Traore is doing. At least we have prisoners in the prison yard. So of you to transform these prisoners into farmers, like what Captain Ibrahim Traore has done, they wouldn't do that. Now we've seen that these people are training their youth into agriculture, and instead of these same people to let these youth, they are calling unemployed graduates, that they've named them and they are using them as their campaign message to go into farming, they are still sitting down doing nothing, always arguing in parliament. Things that will bring us nothing are the things that these people are always proud talking about. And that is what democracy is meant to do. That is the main agenda of democracy. We are so grateful to these leaders who have come into the African continent at this crucial moment, giving us hope and letting us know that Africa can become a better place again, and Africa will definitely be free. We say, may the ancestors continue to protect and guide Captain Ibrahim Traore. May they give you the wisdom that you deserve, every area and every field. Leadership is not about prayers, it's about skills. And may they continue to empower you, give you the courage, the strength, the wisdom, the might to be able to do more for us all in Africa. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world, in Africa, West Africa, and in Burkina Faso.